Hello and welcome to the Colts Blue Zone podcast. Matt Adams here with a game recap as the Colts lose 27-20 to the Pittsburgh Steelers. It is their second loss of the season, and it breaks a four-game winning streak. Had they been able to come out with a win here against Pittsburgh, then it would have been a five-game winning streak, and the Colts would be 8-1. As it is, they're 7-2 after their second road loss of the season. They lost earlier this year at the Rams. So, and that was another game in which where the offense made quite a few mistakes and just was not able to recover. Although the Rams game felt better than the Pittsburgh game. So let's take a look real quick at our AFC South standings. Colts there again at 7-2. Jacksonville got an overtime win against the Raiders. The Raiders went for two and weren't able to convert it in overtime. The Texans lost again yesterday. C.J. Stroud got injured, and so things continue to kind of go south there. And the Titans lost again to move to 8-1. At the NFL picture as a whole, the Colts still tied for the most wins in the league, but the Patriots and the Broncos also there at 7-2 in the AFC. In the NFC, you've got the Eagles, Bucks, Seahawks at 6-2. Buffalo got a big win yesterday against the Kansas City Chiefs. So, it's not the sky is not falling or anything like that, but this was not a good game for the Indianapolis Colts against the Steelers. And I think the problem is I thought the Colts could win this game. I knew it would be a tough environment to play in. I thought if they took care of the ball and then they avoided a lot of the issues that you kind of see, that the Colts would be able to win this game and get a road win in the AFC. But boy, things just kind of didn't go well. I mean, the game started out well enough, right? The Colts got the Steelers to go 3-and-out on their first possession. Then Indianapolis marched right down the field to, get the score and go ahead. But, that drive, I heard some people describe that as the Colts marched the ball right down the field, and there were some big plays on that drive, but they did have to convert some fourth downs in order to get into the end zone. Didn't find a lot of running room for Jonathan Taylor, and then it took a fourth down conversion with Daniel Jones sneaking into the end zone in order to get the score. But they got the score. That was the important thing. The very next kickoff, the Colts stopped the Steelers once again. It's a 3-and-out. They force a punt. And this is just kind of one of those things that happens sometimes. Anthony Gould out this week with an injury. You've got Josh Downs replacing him on punt returns. And Downs is one of the Colts' best, most reliable players. He's got great hands. And he's returned punts before. He's returned, last season and such. And unfortunately, kind of misjudges the ball and is a little hesitant on whether or not he wants to catch it. Then tries to field it on a bounce and just kind of bounces up into his chest. And Pittsburgh recovers that for, the first turnover of the game. And it was a tough break, but the defense held there. They didn't give up a score to the Steelers when the Steelers had the ball in really good field position there. And you knew that the Steelers respected the Colts because Mike Tomlin's not a guy who gambles a lot, doesn't take a lot of high risks type stuff, not a guy who's going to go for it a lot on fourth down unless he feels like he has to. And here in this case, they went for it on a fourth and goal situation against the Colts, or a fourth down situation against the Colts. They were unable to get a touchdown there, and the Colts got the ball back. So even though they had that turnover with the muffed punt, it ended up not hurting them as much as it could have because, the defense firmed up. They were able to stop Pittsburgh from getting a score. And that was big. And you think, if the Colts were able to march down and get a touchdown on their next possession, then we're kind of off and running, right? We've got the roadmap for a Colts victory because they're going to try to, kind of jump on the other team a little bit, get the other team to play from behind. And, that's not what happened here because instead on the next drive, when the Colts stopped the Steelers, TJ Watt got around the right edge and stripped the ball from Daniel Jones, fumbled the ball, and then Watt recovered it. So he got the sack, he got the strip, and he got the fumble recovery, kind of the trifecta there for a defensive lineman. That led to a score for the Steelers, and it just kind of spiraled after that for the Colts. They had a really tough time handling the front of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Their front seven were very, very good for Pittsburgh in this game. A lot of pressure off the edge. We usually see Braden Smith and Bernard Ryman handle that a little bit better, a lot better actually off the edge. And they do have some exceptional players here in Pittsburgh, and they were able to, just able to get by guys and get some free runners and that sort of thing. So, and when it was all said and done, when you count the punt in with the other turnovers, it ended up being 6 turnovers for the Colts, and 3 of those were interceptions from Daniel Jones. 2 of them were, sack, strip, fumble situations for Indianapolis, and it just didn't take care of the ball. It didn't take care of their quarterback. Jones got sacked 5 times in this game, and it seemed like he was always having to manage like a dirty pocket, a muddy pocket. There just wasn't a lot of space and a lot of times for him. Just kind of those easy passes that have been there throughout the season were just not there, or he couldn't get to them because he just didn't have the time. So not a great performance, obviously, from the Colts as they fall to 7-2 on the season. Let's listen now to head coach Shane Steichen.
No injuries to report. Just looking at the game, obviously hard to win when you turn over like we did. Credit to the Steelers and their defense and what they did. Obviously, could have been better for our guys today, moving the football up and down the field. But I thought the fight, obviously at the end, even there at the end, our guys were fighting like crazy. There was no quitting the guys, so I like that. And obviously, got to look at it tomorrow, get it cleaned up, and get ready to go for Atlanta.
Did they do anything different defensively than what they've shown over the course of the year?
They did a few little things, but credit to them. They played good on defense.
How do you explain the offensive line just not being more?
I don't know. I mean, I got a lot of faith in our offensive line. Like I said, give credit to Pittsburgh. I think they did some good things, and so we'll get it cleaned up and get ready for Atlanta.
So how would you assess the way Daniel Jones performed today? Any question about that?
I think he did good. I mean, the interceptions, you look at interceptions, you look at the stat line. 2 of them were tip balls. And then, we're 2-minute, we're trying to get chunks, throwing soft defense. We're trying to chug it down the field. I think just the one where the guy dropped out, underneath it and made a good play, Wilson there. I thought that was good. But, I thought he was, besides those things, I thought, he did what he does.
Is it hard to get JT going in a game like that, just with changing possession so much? And,
Yeah, I mean, I think, could I got some more carries in there for him? Yeah, probably. I thought they did some good things, something to run early, get some, 2-3 yard carries and whatnot. And then we got to go in there a little bit. And then obviously the other turnovers that stop some drives. But yeah, we'll always look at those things and go from there.
It seemed like they had the middle of the field pretty muddy. Did that stand out to you at all?
A little bit. I thought they did some good things. Like I said, credit to them. They played good on defense today.
Is anything that happened today, I assume the answer to this, but did anything happen today to change how you see this offense, which has performed obviously very well?
Yeah, no, not at all. I think you take away the takeaways and we don't turn the ball over. I think we're moving the ball down the field and scoring a lot of points again. So I got a ton of faith in our offense and our guys for sure.
Were there any concerns with Michael Pittman with the team a little while we have to wear late hits?
No, he was good. He's tough as nails. I mean, he gets hit hard all the time. Pops right back up. It's good to go.
JT did get hit quite a bit in the backfield, I think, today. Is that just kind of a result of just that defensive line having a good day?
Yeah, there's just little things we got to clean up there. Obviously, we'll go get them cleaned up tomorrow. And our O-line's been playing great all year. So, I got a lot of faith in those guys going into this next game against Atlanta.
You mentioned you saw a lot of fight out of this team to end the game. I noticed you guys are so rarely giving up sacks or turnovers throughout the start of this season. How do you feel like this team responded in a game that's been so uncharacteristic from the rest of the this year?
Yeah, I thought, like I said, I think they responded the right way. Obviously, being down at halftime and then fighting back, and obviously with the turnovers and everything that happened, just the grittiness there at the end, even to get to 20 points, there at the end and try to get another onside and throw a Hail Mary there. I mean, our guys were fighting all the way till the end, for sure. Yeah, a ton of respect for Matt. Obviously, like we talked about earlier, losing your dad, that's always hard. But, he said, like, my dad wanted me to play today, and he showed up for his team. He was out there. He's obviously played a lot of games on this field, so just a lot of respect for him playing today, for sure.
That was head coach Shane Steichen after the Colts in their 27-20 loss against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And really, it's kind of one of those games where, the score looks kind of close. And the Colts, to their credit, they didn't give up in this game at the end, even though they had dug themselves into a big hole. They surrendered 24 points, I believe, off of turnovers in this game. They still kind of kept at it. They kind of, they had their chances. They had a pair of onside kicks to try to recover at the end of this game. Just, not necessarily a positive, but because you don't want to be in that situation. But they kept at it, and you know, the question is now going to be, because we have seen Daniel Jones play very, very well in the majority of the Colts games. I'd say he's played well in 7 of their 9 games. And even against the Rams, he wasn't horrible, right? The Colts moved the ball, they scored some points. It's just they had some inopportune turnovers at some bad moments. But this one against Pittsburgh just felt different, and you got to credit the defense for, kind of hanging in there for the most part. But Jones did have a rough game in this one. The numbers don't look all that bad, but I don't think you want Daniel Jones. Like, the Colts have kind of built a system where they're balanced. And while, yes, they run more pass plays than they do run plays, they're still able to run the ball effectively. And they were not able to do that in this game. Jones, 31 for 50, 342 yards in the air for the Indianapolis Colts in this game. He had the touchdown pass to Josh Downs. He had a touchdown run off a QB keeper. And then he had the 3 interceptions. One of them was a batted ball. Another one was kind of a misread or a bad throw where he was trying to hit Josh Downs on kind of one of these little option routes where Downs goes the inside, but the defender kind of stayed with him. And so when Jones threw the ball, the defender was right there for it. And then the other one was a blitzer right off the edge. And, Jones saw the pressure. He was trying to get it to his hot read there, but, it just wasn't there. And the player made did a nice job of batting. He was right in the passing lane. He batted the ball down, and then Pittsburgh was able to recover that for an interception. So, really a mixed bag for Jones. He just had 3 rushes on the day, one of them for the touchdown, and then sacked 5 times. And I think that's probably where the biggest area of concern grows, not necessarily just for Daniel Jones, but for the offense as a whole, because they've done a pretty good job of keeping him clean for the most part, giving him clean pockets and giving him time to get those initial reads off or get to a second or third read and, find the open receiver, or give him enough time for those routes to develop. And that was just not the case this week. And the Colts have been so good on the offensive line this year. And it's been a consistent theme throughout the season that the Indianapolis Colts can run block as well as anybody in the league, and they've protected the quarterback very well on top of that. So to have Daniel Jones and the offensive line, to have the offensive line struggle led to struggles for Daniel Jones. Now, it's not all on the offensive line. Jones shares some culpability in this as well. Ball security, getting maybe making a better throw here or there. But, the blame can go all around on this one, but just not the sharp type of game that we have kind of grown accustomed to, with the Colts being able to move the ball at will, scoring some points early on in the game, and then being able to give the ball over to Jonathan Taylor in the second half and letting him kind of take over things and seal the win. And it really did look like the Colts were getting some momentum at times in this game. There was a drive especially where Taylor was really starting to heat up a little bit there. But the problem was that they turned the ball over again. And that created, just too many problems for this team to overcome. When you just turn the ball over again and again, it just makes it so hard, because you're giving the other team so many opportunities to do something and be successful out on the field. And unfortunately, that's kind of what the Colts fell into. And that lead got up to 27-10 in the fourth quarter of that game. And then the Colts kind of tried to rally a little bit, and it wasn't there. So rough game for Daniel Jones, rough game for the offensive line. I think those two things are very much linked. No running room really for Jonathan Taylor, so he really never got off the ground. And, what it all does spell for the Colts is a rough performance. I guess at the very least, we don't have to talk anymore about the Colts not having a 100-yard receiver. It was kind of a silly thing to talk about anyway, the way that this team was spreading it around. But they did have 2 100-yard receivers in this game, Alec Pierce and Michael Pittman Jr. both with 115 receiving yards in this game for the Colts, and making some tough catches and making some big plays and really trying to keep the team in it. But just, again, rough day for the Colts. Let's listen in on Daniel Jones.
Yeah, I think absolutely. Yeah, when you look at any game, turnovers are a key, and then to turn over as many times as we did today, you're gonna have a tough time winning. So obviously that's on me. I got to protect the ball better and make sure we're giving ourselves a chance. I thought we did some good things at times, but just turnovers and some of those things I gotta clean up and make sure we're not hurting ourselves.
When you look at the interception, Shane said 2 of them were tipped. How do you see the 3 of them?
Yeah, I think go back and look at the film and break them down. I think they're all independent. I think just evaluate the decision, the process, what could have changed, what I could have done better. But certainly can't have them. Can't afford to put the ball in jeopardy those times. So yeah, go back and look at them on tape and clean it up.
On the sack fumbles, I mean, is there anything a quarterback can do better? You said you can do better. I mean, is there much you can do on those?
Well, I think fundamentally it's always about keeping the ball tight and securing it. Something that we work, and I just got to make sure I do a better job with that, and then getting the ball out on time when I can. So I think that's always my job. Credit to them; they have a good pass rush and guys who can really rush. So knowing that, I gotta get the ball.
You guys scored on that first drive and went down the field. What do you think why it got so stagnant after that?
I'm not sure. I think I think the turnovers were probably the biggest thing that slowed us down today. I thought we executed at times and moved the ball at times, and then hurt ourselves with turnovers. So I go back and look at it and see what else went on and what we could have done better. But I think obviously turnovers played a big part of it.
Dan, could you assess the second half and just the team fought to the finish? It didn't seem like, even though a lot of things were going wrong, that you hung it up in the middle of it and just kind of played until the end.
Yeah, I mean, I think we knew that, about the team, about the guys on the team, and we got a lot of guys, who will fight and play until to the end of the game. So obviously didn't go our way for most of the game, but we fought. There's something to that, but obviously gotta clean it up and play better.
Did the Steelers do something different than you guys were expecting defensively today?
I wouldn't say so. I mean, I think every team's going to have some adjustments here and there, and some things you prepare for are a little bit different. But I think that happens week to week around the league. So I thought we were prepared from a game planning standpoint, and ultimately it's about us to execute. When we're out there.
What gives you confidence that the way today went is just a 1 week blip and not start of something?
Yeah, I mean, I think we got mature guys in the room. I think we're I'm sure we'll be eager to correct the things that we didn't do as well. But as far as our confidence level, or who we believe we are as a team, I think that's strong, and we're sure of that. We're sure of who we are, and we understand if you turn the ball over, that's going to happen. So and protected, and things have gone well for us. So we got to continue to work that, and I'm sure we will.
With Germany coming up, you flush this one and you got to move on.
No, I don't think it's a normal process. Tonight and tomorrow to review it and see where we could improve, and then it's on to Germany. And I don't think that changes just with a longer flight.
Why do you all think JT was able to get going today?
Well, I think we got behind. It was a big part of it, in the second half, and needed to throw it. But I don't know. Credit to their defense. They got good players over there. Good scheme, but I'm not sure I'll go back and look at it.
Matt Gonzalez, him being out there, I know he's an honorary captain today. The emotions of seeing your teammates play through something like that.
Yeah, I mean, Gons is a stud, you know, and on and off the field. He's a great player, great dude, great teammate, and we're all here to support him.
And that was Daniel Jones. And after the game, 27-20, again, the loss for the Indianapolis Colts. And you put the defense in the offense put the defense in some bad spots. The team surrendered 24 points off turnovers in this game. And it's safe to say if the Colts could have won this game, we can play the if game all day, right? You can always do that. But if the Colts had just turned the ball over 2 or 3 times in this game, very probable that they would come out with a win here. The problem is they just kept turning the ball over. They kept giving the opportunities to the Steelers, and that just eventually it's going to come and get you. The defense did hang in there. They didn't give up a ton of yards, but then that's also the Steelers had a lot of short fields to work with, so it kind of does work hand in hand with that. But some standouts there. Latu with a couple 2.5 sacks for the Colts. Neville Gallimore had another half sack there for the team. And Latu ended one of the drives early for Aaron Rodgers with a 3rd down sack. That was great to see. And then I think that was right before the muffed punt happened there. Kenny Moore. I do want to say Kenny Moore made some tremendous plays in this game. He had a pass breakup in the end zone on a ginormous tight end who's about 8 times his size. Had a couple of really nice backfield stops where he got off his block and just leveled a guy. And then, again, the Colts, there's a play right there with, if you're watching, Kenny Moore punched the ball out from a Pittsburgh receiver who decided he was going to hurdle some Colts guys near the end of the game and did exactly what you would not want to do if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, and that led to a turnover. Reminded me of the old Sage Rosenfeld helicopter from many, many seasons ago in a game in which the Colts rallied and won. Unfortunately, even though they got that play and they forced the fumble there, it was a little bit in garbage time that happened, but, you get a score there and make things really, really interesting. The Colts, Daniel Jones threw an interception. And that was one where Steichen kind of said, this was late in the game, garbage time. We're trying to make up some yards. And, I understand that, but it's like the defense made the one play, right, to kind of get you a little bit of hope, just a little bit of hope, not a ton because there wasn't a lot of time left, but give you some hope. And then, you turn it over pretty much immediately after that. And then it's kind of a mad dash, a mad scramble to the end of the football game to see if, maybe you can get a Hail Mary or a miracle of some time there. So, not a lot of positives, especially on the offensive side of the ball. You did get some good plays, some good tough, catches from Alec Pierce and Michael Pittman Jr. We're kind of used to those things. Tyler Warren, pretty quiet, not a terrible game, but pretty quiet for the most part. Really quiet game, really tough game for Jonathan Taylor. But, that's part of that is the Colts' philosophy is pass to score, run to win. When you're not scoring points, when you're getting behind in games, you're going to pass more, and that means that Jonathan Taylor is not going to have as many opportunities as perhaps he would have if the game were tied or if you'd, eked out a little bit of a lead. I would like to say, we had some concerns a little bit about Michael Badgley, the money badger, the kicker for the Colts that has come in to, replace Spencer Schrader, who's out with an injury. And we had some doubts about his range. Had a couple of 50-plus yarders in this game for the Colts, which isn't necessarily his forte, but, when you can get points on a day when you're having trouble, it did give him a chance, a very slim chance, but a chance there at the end, hit a long field goal, try to maybe see if you can recover the onside kick and then get back in maybe a Hail Mary. You're praying for a miracle at that point, but still good to know that if you do need those field goals, 50-plus, that, Badgley does have had good leg on those, for the Colts. The other thing, Colts also had, and this was a bit early in the game, they did clean this up a little bit, but a couple of their early drives had a couple of procedural penalties, like on offense, guys being lined up offside or covering up a lineman, that sort of some of the alignment penalties. And the Colts are usually really good about not making those types of mistakes. And so I kind of feel like with those mistakes happening and Josh Downs, who's one of their most reliable hands players, muffing the punt, it just kind of felt didn't feel good right off the bat there, even though the Colts got the early score and got the lead. So, disappointing result here for the Colts, 27-20. Again, the final score there in Pittsburgh. It's a tough place to play, toughest place the Colts have had to play all year. Pretty decent weather conditions, but they just didn't bring their A game, unfortunately, and they didn't put the pedal to the metal to start things out at the very beginning of the game. Instead, it was some turnovers, and then that kind of gave Pittsburgh some confidence, and then they were able to stop the Colts from doing a lot of things that the Colts have done well all season, and that's kind of the result. So we'll take one more look here at the AFC South standings. Colts there at 7-2, Jags at 5-3, and they've still got a lot. They've played a lot of good football this year, and it is safe to say that the Indianapolis Colts have played a lot more good football than they've played bad football so far this season. Now, up next for the Colts, it'll be the Atlanta Falcons. They'll head to Berlin, so you'll need to get up nice and early at 9:30. Well, I guess it's not nice and early, but you'll need to get up. It's early for football, right? 9:30 kickoff for that game. We'll have a preview with Dave Griffiths and Mike Chappell on the next episode of the Colts Blue Zone podcast. For now, I'm Matt Adams. Thank you for watching and for listening.